Sahana vavatu Sahanau bhunaktu Sah viryam karavavahai Tejasvanavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Pada Shankaram Loka Shankaram Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Mukam Karoti Vachalam Panghum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam Paramananda Madhavam. Hari Om. Hari Om. So, if we look at Vedanta, it defines this whole situation that we are in as there, where we are looking for that sukha in a situation where we are completely shrouded in dukkha. How is this? So basically, when we say that, what we are seeking as a solution is Atyantika Dukkha Nivritti and Paramananda Prapti. So when we say that, what does that mean? It means that, through various life situations, what we experience is that each experience is having a beginning and it has an end. And this is going to mean that one is that we come into contact with something, get attached, and then further that situation is going to lead to a separation, or as we might say, samyoga viyoga. But this happens with all the situations that we experience, or all the experiences that we go through. This is how it is how the nature of things is. And this is going to give us dukkha no matter how hard we try to have a longer duration of that sukha, but that sukha is ever going to end. So that which we seek in all situations is that not only that we want a particular level of happiness, but also that happiness is something that does not end. It is that which continues again and again, forever and ever. It is not something which is that which has breaks also. Okay? It is that nirantara sukha that we are seeking. It is not, like for instance, if you have not been sleeping well and you get a very nice bout of sleep, right? Now how long is that going to last? You are going to wake up. You are going to also acknowledge, oh, I had a very beautiful sleep. I felt so relaxed and it was just something else. Yes, you recollect it. But that sleep or that sleep sukha that you had was only for a limited period of time, and it came and it ended. So to whatever we do at our action level, what is going to happen? There is going to be a start and there is going to be a end. So now this sukha that I am expecting is something, it seems as though it is out of reach, right? So therefore, here, what is it, the statement that we are saying is the solution we are saying? Atyantika dukkha nivrutti. Whatever the experiences that we have, in that dukkha element which is there, I want freedom from that. I want liberation from that. I don't want to keep on suffering. This union and separation that keeps happening, I don't want that kind of a dukkha. I don't want that kind of a sorrow to happen, right? And further, what do you want? Further, you want that there is Paramananda Prapti. Paramananda, that most highest of happiness. What is that highest of happiness? That happiness which is never ever going to end. That which is eternal. That happiness is what I am seeking. And when will it come? When there is this dukkha nivrutti has happened, only then this Paramananda Prapti will happen. Okay. So therefore, my strife or my struggle at all times is towards that. Now how is that going to happen? So for a sadhaka, right, to begin with, Bhagavan says, O Arjuna, right, in the form of Arjuna only, Bhagavan is trying to sort out our problems, right. So he says, okay Arjuna, what is your problem? One is that, when you are here in this battlefield, what is the two things that is worrying you? One is that you are saying that, the death of my kith and kin, it will happen with my hands. So, one is that I will be responsible for this action. And two is what? Two is that, what will I do when I get separated from them? This separation is going to go on paining me over and over again. It is not going to allow me to have any kind of happiness thereafter. So, how do I overcome this grief, right? This shoka is something that I am not going to be able to handle. So, why not go in for the battle? That was what was Arjuna's question. Why should I act? When it is going to result in dukkha, why should I act? Right? And from this seed question only, Bhagavan is now giving us the knowledge of that eternal truth. And what is that eternal truth that we are seeking? We are trying to understand what is this Amruta. What is this Amruta Tattva? So of course, you might think, is it that, there was this kind of a tug of war that was there between the Devas and Asuras, and so they were doing this Amruta Manthan, and they were churning, right? The mountain was there in the center, and one side the Devas were there and one side the Asuras were there, and as a result of that, various things came out, and one essential thing which was to come out was this Amruta. And that Amruta is such that once you drink it, if you take even a drop of it, you will attain that immortality, right? So, is this the Amruta which Bhagavan is talking about? So, here he says, no, here this is not that Amruta. Of course, that is symbolically told. Here, that Amruta is going to be explained to us in its essentiality. Okay, in its what it truly means, that is what Bhagavan is now trying to explain to us, right? But before that, what did he say? Before that, he told Arjuna that when you are in this plane, what do you mean? So when you are in this transactional plane, right? So there are two planes, right? One is the samsaric satta, or where we are in the transactional plane, and then there is, or the vyavaharik satta as we said, right? And then there is the absolute plane, right? Which is, what is the absolute plane? The absolute plane is that paramarthik satta. So paramarthik satta means what? That which is where that one truth alone exists. That is that paramarthik satta. And that one truth is such that it does not change. It is that which is unchanging. So, are you saying that we are in this vyavaharik plane, and in this vyavaharik plane that paramartha does not exist? Is that it? So he says, no, that's not how it is, right? That paramarthik satta is alone that above which these experiences of the changing, of the nature of change, are taking place. In fact, without that truth, right, or that paramarthik satta, this vyavaharik satta is not possible. Okay, so there is the one which is changing, is that which is pervaded by that which is the unchanging. Okay, and that unchanging substratum is what we are going to understand as that amrita. Okay, so this is like in a gist what it is that we are trying to understand. So now to give that background before, what did Bhagwan say? Bhagwan said that there is these pairs of opposites, and these pairs of opposites are existing. It is not that whenever you are in contact with the world, whenever you are transacting, you are doing anything in this world, right? How do they happen? They happen with the because of the contact of the senses with the sense objects, right? So what are the senses? So we have the 5 senses. What are they? There is the sense of touch, taste, right? Smell. There is the there is the sense of touch, taste, smell. Then you also have the sight, right? And there is also what? Which is the one which I have missed out. There is the sense of hearing, right? So sound is there, right? Right. So when you have the 5 senses, you also have the sense objects, which might be many, but they all fall into any one of these 5 brackets. Fine. So when we have the sense objects, or the vishayas as they are called, vishayas, the sense objects, and it is these vishayas, okay, though they are external to us as in this jiva, this individual who has these senses. What is that which interacts with these senses? It is the sense objects. So who is more powerful? It is the sense objects, the vishayas, which are much more powerful than the senses. Okay, because why? Because these senses, their function is only one. Their functions is to go outward seeking these sense objects. So then would you say that all of us go for all the sense objects? No. Each one of us has our own sense of what I like or what I don't like. Which sense objects, even though it comes into my sphere of perception, does not appeal to me, that is not that is not in my category of likes. Which that sense object which immediately upon seeing kind of triggers a thought wave within me saying that I want, right? That sense object is something which is Ishta to me, which is what I will seek. Okay, so like this is the this mechanism of likes and dislikes triggering or triggered by the sense objects when they come into contact with the senses is what drives my world into thought, action, or rather desire, thought, action, and then result. Okay, so basically all of us have different likes and dislikes driven by our prior experiences, okay, and the nature of contact that happened at the earlier time. So depending on that, my likes and dislikes and your dislikes and likes and dislikes will vary. Okay, but what essentially Bhagwan is telling over there is that it is mainly this contact only. Matra sparshastu kaunteya. What is it going to do? When I connect with something, there is bound to be some result, or there is bound to be some kind of an effect that arises out of that contact. Okay, that effect is what? That effect is going to be it is either going to be one of two. Okay, one of two means there is going to be, depending on what we are coming into contact with, there will be these pairs of opposites. Okay, so therefore in terms of my sensitivity to the climate, I might say that it is hot or cold. Then I might turn the temperature up and down, or increase the fan, etc. Or depending on my sensitivity to sound, I might say that this is too loud, or this is too soft, or this is too melodious, right? So depending on the varying level of my contact, the experience will be these pairs of opposites. And these pairs of opposite, though by nature they might seem as too varying, right? Like we said, there is heat and cold, right? But of course there is it is not just black and white, right? There is also shades in between, right? But essentially they will be of the nature of that which I like and that which I don't like. That is what we are saying as the raga and dvesha, right? But here what is essential is that whenever we are coming into contact with any kind of experience, there is bound to be the effects, and these effects are going to be either in the category of like or dislike, and depending on that what is going to happen, my response to them is also going to be in that way. Either it is favorable to me, it is conducive to me, or it is non-conducive to me, and depending on that my behavior pattern also will change, as in whether I will be happy or whether I will be unhappy. That will come about as a result of this contact. Okay, so what is Bhagwan telling then? So Bhagwan is telling, know it as that. So accept this fact that either it is going to be either this or either that. But how should you be in that? How should you, as a seeker, what is the attitude that you should take up? The attitude one should take up is, this is how it is, this is the fact of life, but I need not get swayed by it, right? I need not be affected by it. Yes, if it is something extreme and there is some amount of control in my hand, do that which will, make that condition equanimous, that situation equanimous for you to function in order to perform your duty. Okay, but let not these pairs of opposites trouble you. So why will they trouble me? They will trouble me because, if I am getting affected each time by these pairs of opposites, then I will not be able to be focused on the task at hand, right? Then I will not be able to keep my destination in mind and work flawlessly, efficiently, right? So therefore, what should I do? So one, educate yourself that whatever is going to be the result, it is not going to be that which is permanent. So therefore he says agama apayinaha. So it is of the nature of coming and going. It is not of the nature of permanency. So therefore what should I do? Therefore, if possible, ignore it. If something has to be done about it, do that. If it is going to help by putting on a brighter light in a dark space for you to be able to see clearly, go ahead and do that. If you feel your instrument has got some kind of a, it is lacking in some way, to not function to its true capacity, then go ahead, go and check with the doctor and do that which is essential, to make that work, right? So, like some people, they have this, their nature is always to say, my head is aching, my head is aching. But they will never go and find out why is the head aching, right? So, if you really want to persist with your headache, go ahead, keep on complaining. But if you really want to get rid of that pain, then have a look at the doctor and find a solution for it, right? So this is what Bhagwan is telling. There are going to be these pinpricks in life, but what should a sadhaka do? A sadhaka should not waste time in indulging in their coming and going or being bothered by their coming and going. Instead, the sadhaka, one, should be equipped with awareness why they are happening or what is their nature, and then find a solution for it and move on with the task at hand, or move on with the resolve to reach that destination that one has kept in mind. So therefore Bhagwan also says that if you have a higher goal in mind, then all these pinpricks are not going to affect you. You will not come under their sway, right? So therefore he had told what? So here he had told that, the person who knows, right, that these triggers are going to be manifold. These triggers that, keep triggering these pinpricks or these hurdles for us, in terms of reaching our goal, then one should be aware of them, take the right measures to not be affected by them, and then what? And then keep going towards the destination. So one who is aware of this nature of the world, who is he? He is the dhiraha, right? Dhira tatra na mujyati. So he is the one who is equipped with this strength of titiksha. This titiksha or forbearance is something very strong, okay, and one must develop it. Of course, everyone has it to a certain extent, but a sadhaka should come to know well before and equip themselves much better. Sometimes we go for camps, etc., and then people realize, they'll take a huge bag, so that they are packing the whole world as though in that. Because what if this happens, what if that happens, what if I don't have, my comfortable pillow, etc., etc. But a sadhaka should be such who will first only take care of this body and have a parigraha, so that what? So that he is not troubled. He is not troubled by the wrong kind of things. Or rather, they might not be wrong, but they might not be essential. Right? A sadhaka should be focused more and more with the pursuit that one has taken up. Right? So that is more important here. And that which is only at the sense level, that is going to that should not affect me to a greater level than the further pinpricks that are to come. Okay, as a sadhaka. So what are those? So that is at the siddha level, right? That tapas one should have, that titiksha one should have, that has to grow to a higher level, so that when one foresees that kind of pinpricks, they will be able to completely ignore them, right? So here now we will go to that main point that we are trying to see. What is that? What is the meaning of this amrutatvam? Right? What is this amruta? So here in the 16th verse, Bhagavan says, Nasato vidyate bhavaha, na bhavo vidyate sataha, ubhayorapi drushtontaha, tvanayostvatvadarshibhihi. Tvanayostvatvadarshibhihi. So here the main point in the shloka is that what is that which is this sat? What is that which is this amruta? So here when we say that there is sat and there is asat, so one is to understand what is this sat and what is this asat. So here in the verse he says, Na asataha bhavaha vidyate. Na asataha bhavaha vidyate. The asata is what? That which is unreal. Its existence is not that which is permanent. It has no permanent existence. Right? Or rather, it is not that which is completely or fully, or it is not independently existing. It has a dependent existence. Right? So here, na asataha bhavaha vidyate. One does not know the existence of that asat. And then, na sataha abhava vidyate. Na sataha abhava vidyate. Nor can one know the absence of that sat. Can we say that sat is not? That is what he is saying. Can you say, that unreality, it is, right? Can we say that the unreal is and the real is not? That is not really making sense, right? So here he is saying, na asataha bhava vidyate, na sataha abhava vidyate. Now who sees this? The truth about these two, right? These two in the sense sat and asat it is known to whom? It is known to those who are those tattvadarshibihi, those who are the seers of that truth. They are the ones who are completely aware of this sat and asat, what is real and what is unreal, and how the two are actually coexisting, or rather one has no existence and the other is existence alone. Okay, so this is basically what Bhagavan is trying to say here, that in this world there is one thing that is real. For Arjuna, in the world there is one thing that is sat, real, that which will which was never not existing. Okay? Or never will it cease to exist. Sat is that which was never not existing, never will it ever cease to exist. Am I making sense? Okay. Then and what about the asat? Asat is all the rest that is there, which is what which doesn't really have an existence at all, right? That is that which is asat. Rest all that will never have, or rather what will you say? Because you will say that, how is this possible? Are you saying, the world is not, but I see it, and that which I see with, that also I see, right? So what are you trying to say? So there it actually what it means is that which is asat. That asat does not have the same degree of reality as that sat. Okay? That asat, which seems to be real, is only an appearance on that sat, which ever exists. Whereas that which is asat has a dependent reality, or it has a relative reality. It is not existing independently. Fine. So that is what, that is that asat. Okay, that is that asat. Now going on, so what does here he say? He says that what then this reality and this non-reality. The one who is able to see this, who is going to be able to see this? The one who is that Tattvadarshi. Who is that Tattvadarshi? The one who is that Dhira, who had developed that Titiksha, who had strengthened the Titiksha, or that endurance, or that forbearance by smartly observing the life experiences and seeing the truth therein, or seeing that untruth therein, or developing that viveka of sat and asat, of nitya and anitya therein. Okay. So how does that happen, and how will I come to know that Amritattva? So first step that one should do as a sadhaka, right, is that one should know where are these experiences happening. First, they are taking place in my mind, right? It is at the thought level. And at thought level, what is there? How should I go about that? So first, when we are saying that this entire world is pervaded by that reality, that world is pervaded by that reality, and because of that alone, because of that reality which is independent, which ever is existing, which never was not existing, which will never ever cease existing. It is in this reality alone that we experience this unreal world. Okay, so this we should keep in mind, that everything, say suppose you say that there is the if you say that there is the waters, there is the ocean, and in this ocean, what is there? In the ocean you have a lot of waves are there, and in the waves, what is there? There is bubbles also, there is this bubbles and foams. So there is the foam On the waves and on the foam, there is in the foam there is also these bubbles. So are they permanent? No. What is happening? As the waters are hitting together, this wave is getting rising, it is getting a form, and with that also rises the foam which has these bubbles. But essentially what is there? Essentially, without the water, will this wave get a form? Will it rise? Will it stay? Will it dissolve? No. So essentially, what we see as different waves, it might be a very small baby wave and it might be a huge tsunami wave, right? But without the water, that wave is not going to be possible. Okay. So too, if we say that we are pervaded by that one truth, one reality, which is, one aspect of it is this consciousness. One aspect of it that we think of is the existence, and the other is that Ananta Ananda, right? So if we say that we are pervaded by this Sat Chit Ananda, right? We are as in this plurality. This plurality, what is this plurality? That which has name and form, Nama and Rupa. Okay? That which has this Nama and Rupa, that reality, what is it? That reality is only relative, because the substratum of that reality is what? Is this Sat Chit Ananda. Another words for that is, Sat Chit Ananda, Sat existence, Chit consciousness, Ananda is that which is that bliss, what we call as bliss, right? These are not three separate entities, they are one and the same, okay? That we have to keep in mind. So that Satchidananda is one, right? We might, for our clear understanding at present, we can call it that as consciousness, okay? So when we are saying there is the consciousness, which is that reality, we might also say that, the three of them, we can call them as Asti Bhati Priyam. Asti Bhati Priyam, that again, same only. Asti, existence. Bhati, that which is making everything known, or that which is that consciousness. And then Priyam is that Ananda, or that factor which is making me like it, right? Or have that Ananda, or that sense of joy or happiness, right? So this is the substratum without which this Nama and Rupa of the world, right? The name and form. The name and form will change, right? Like how, like if we look, let's look at another example of, there is pot, there is a pan, there is a spoon, there is a plate, all of them are made of mud. So all of them have different name based on the form, based also on the utility, one might say, right? Fine. So pot is something, which can contain something, right? Plate is some other form, right? So therefore, based on these, the name and utility is decided, correct? But that is in the transactional world. Now, when I go to the essence of any of these, what will I say? We will say that is mud. That is essentially mud alone, right? So therefore, here too, when we are looking at this Sat and Asat, what is that which is Sat? Sat is that which is that reality which has been and will always be present in all periods of time. It was in the past, it is in the present, it will be in the future. right? One more thing is, it is not affected by the changing. What is the changing? Changing is that asat, which did not exist in the past. So what is the asat, you might ask? If sat is that which is present at all times, asat is that which was not prior to its birth. It was not. It came into existence and then it again went into non-existence, right? So it was not, it is, it will not be. Okay, so it has a beginning and an end, whereas that which is real, that which is Sat, has no beginning, has no birth, has no death. So it ever is, right? So this is what we have to, this is the basic logic that one has to keep in mind. Next is what, that Sat is me, okay, or that Amrita is me. Now who is seeing this? The one who has developed the right kind of understanding. How? Through the study of what that Sat is, or through enquiry. An example of Asat, this body is Asat, right? All that I see in this world, all that I perceive in this world. Now you tell me, okay, let's look at it like this. Look at the world and tell me one thing which was not created. Can you say that there is something which is not created? That which is not created will not have a prior existence. That which is created, that which is created will always have will always not have a prior existence, right? And because it is, and also it will always have a end to it, right? So can you speak of something in this world which is not created? When we say that it is created, it is perceptible to all kinds of modifications. What are the modification? So that which it comes into birth, then what happens? It is, yeah, Vandana ji wants to say. Go ahead. Go ahead, Vandana ji.
No, I was just telling the six, like.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that is born, that which grows, that which.
The terms you tell in Sanskrit.
Vardate, Asti Vardate, all.
Tell, fine, no problem.
Okay, I don't remember the order completely.
Sir, Vikas ji, the Prarabdha is not created, it was there. No, Prarabdha is created. When you act, right, when you do any action, that is when the result, it ensures that there is going to bound to be a result, right? And that is what is going to ensure that there is Prarabdha, and there is where your Prarabdha is born. Okay, so it is not that Prarabdha was not. Okay, but basically when you say, yes, Vikas, do you want to say something? I'm not able to see. Yeah. Yeah, so basically when we say that something is, right? Something is, if it is a thing, if it is something which has a birth, something which has a end, right, which has a expiry date, right, then what do we mean? It means that it was born, it existed, right, and it is going to die. Basically these three stages. The further stages part we will come to in the next verses, right? So but point is, that which has birth, that which has death, that is that which is asat. Okay. And now another way of looking at it is that which has a dependent existence, that is asat. That which is not having any kind of dependency, that which is independently ever present, that is sat. Okay. So if we say that reality which is this Satchit Ananda, or that reality which is this consciousness, fine. So that consciousness is what? Is that which is pervading everything. So now if we look at, if we look at the thought level, right? Any action, it begins at the thought level, right? So now this thought itself, would it be able to have an existence by itself had there not been a Sakshi? Sakshi as in the witness to that thought, right? So what is that? So and this those who have done say Drigdrishya Viveka, right, might understand this, right? So there if we say that there is a sentiency, as in if there is a being, right, there is an individuality, that individual has this body, mind, intellect. Without this consciousness being there, that thought would not be even, the thought would not be, its existence would not be perceived. Okay. So that thought requires sentiency, no matter what the type of thought. It might be a thought of imagination, it might be a thought of some kind of emotion, or some kind of decisive decision making kind of thought, right? But that thought in essence cannot exist without the sentiency, or without that sakshi, or without that consciousness. Okay. So this consciousness doesn't require any other entity for its existence. Okay. Whereas that thought rose in the mind space, it existed and it will end, right? We can't say that one thought alone is throughout. No, the thought came and the thought went. Do we agree on this or no? That we can just sit by ourselves and observe also, right? There is a thought that came and the thought went also. It was there for a time and it went, right? But who is the one who is seeing this, who is aware of this? Is that reality, or that which is illumining this thought, that entity is that Sat. Now, is this affected by that thought? No, that is the second thing which is being told here, is that Sat is never affected by that dependent Asat. Okay. No matter how much the change happens, no matter what the level of change that is happening at the relative plane, at the Vyavaharik plane, the absolute consciousness is never going to be affected. Okay. Like how? Like if you are looking at the sun in the sky. The sun in the sky is illumining everything, right? And it is its presence alone is making everything function, right? But if it was illumining the growth of something, will that growth of that particular tree affect that sun? Or if you are seeing the reflection of the sun in some calm waters, now suddenly if you throw a stone into that calm water, okay, or that pond, what is going to happen? That reflection of the sun is going to get distorted. Does that mean that the sun is going to get distorted? No. If that water suddenly becomes very dirty, is that sun going to have some kind of taintedness, or some kind of spots will come onto the sun? No, you will say that is only the reflection. So too it is with this reality, which is that consciousness. Everything that we experience is as though happening in this, over this reality. It is an appearance over this reality, right? Though we are not seeing that reality, we only see the changing. But the fact that that changing is, right, or the fact that that asat is manifest, tells me that that reality exists. Okay, without that reality, this changing supposed reality that I am perceiving, which I give a degree of reality in the relative plane, but it is not actually real, it is more illusory, you might say. That is possible only because of this unchanging reality. Like how, let's have another example, that of the mirage that happens. Okay, if you're there on the road, or there's a lot of heat, so how is this mirage coming about, where you see the waters, you feel that there is a water body right there in front of you, though it is not there, right? It is only because of the play of light on that substratum of that sand, one might say, if it is the sand body over which this mirage is appearing, right? So without that sand would, without that desert or without that sand on the path, would you be able to see that mirage water? Or would you see that if the mirage waters get dirty, then the sand is going to get dirty? No. Why? Because that mirage itself is not there, it is only an appearance. So there is no way that what you are visualizing as some kind of dirt in the mirage waters is going to affect that sand even, right? So this is just to give you a kind of a understanding of that sat and asat. Okay, that sat or that consciousness is that which ever is present. That is one thing that we have to keep in mind, that, and therefore it is called that amruta. Amruta, that which has no death, right, or is not subject to any kind of change. So when we say that that the changing that we are seeing, including our body, etc., we said what dies? It is only the BMI, the body, mind, intellect, this whole assemblage that we are thinking is real. Only that is actually that which is dying, right? In fact, that which I connect with as some emotion. I was sad. You were sad, right? So are you now sad? You are not now sad, right? So who was sad? The thought in the mind was sad, right? Or the emotion that the mind connected with was sad, right? I was blind. Was blind. You were blind? No. What was that? Your instrument of sight was blind, right? You as an entity, right, as that reality, right, or that sat, can never be blind or not blind, right? Because there is nothing to perceive. You alone are, right? You alone are that absolute Satchidananda or that absolute Brahma or that absolute reality which is ever unchanging. When you say that you alone are means what? There is no other. So then there is no kind of perceiving even, right? Then that reality alone is. Okay. So whatever is therefore then happening, is it going to change my reality? No. That reality is never going to change. So now then like one person had asked that okay, then why should I why should I go towards this purity, etc., right? So if I am already that pure consciousness, then why should I go ahead and do that? That is because right now I am seeing myself as this changing alone. I am giving reality to this body. No matter how much you might listen to Vedanta, unless you have built that fortitude, right? All these dvandvas, these pairs of opposites, they are not going to sway me. I know my reality and I have my conviction in that, and I am not going to be moved. I will be, I'll be adept at owning up that reality as me, this Satchidananda as me. Until I gain that kind of confidence in my Sat, I will still have to struggle, right? I will have to struggle because this that I have given reality to, this is prone to pain, this is prone to having joys and elation, right? So therefore, what is it that I should do then first? One is that, build this, essentially a sadhaka to go towards that atyantika dukkha nivritti and paramananda prapti. What should one do? One, have such clean transactions, right? Have such shuddhi in the action itself so that the mind becomes spotless. Okay, the mind becomes spotless, meaning then you will be able to contain that truth that you have been listening to, right? Then there is more clarity in your understanding of that Shravana that you are doing. Okay. Then once that happens, then what? Then next step is transcend that mind. Go beyond that mind. Then you don't have to work on the pinpricks at that mind level. Then why? Because your this titiksha has gone to the higher level, right? Then what? Then you are not going to affected by the presence or absence of the mind, right? Then once you go beyond the mind, where do you go? You go towards that reality alone, right? So what is that reality? That reality which is that Satchidananda, right? How do I reach that? By dissolving the mind. How do I dissolve the mind? By owning up that truth which is myself, which is declared by the scriptures, which is claimed by the rishis, right? And which has been explained to us in various ways. Here it is, Bhagwan is explaining to us in the Bhagavad Gita, right? He is telling Arjuna that, the one who sees that tattva, that tattva is what? That tattva which is that which ever exists, that which does not have any abhava, that will never cease to exist. And also the one who knows the nature of this world as that which is asat, which did it exist earlier? No, it never existed earlier. Will it exist in the future? It won't exist. And therefore it is asat. Fine. So this is what he is saying, right? And we saw different examples which about this also, right? So without this sat vastu, will this world continue? No, without this sat vastu, this world is not going to be perceivable at all, right? So will this body be there? Will this, senses be there? Will there be the experiences that I have? No, it is not at all possible. Fine. So this is what essentially Bhagavan is telling, right? So here he says that naturally the real is that which defies all changes and remains the same in all periods of time, past, present and future. By significance, therefore, the real is that which exists at all times in the past, present and future. And therefore, if you were looking at the snake and having so much fear of it, then, when will that fear go? When I go close and see that it is a rope alone, right? When will the truth dawn on me? When I will inquire into it, when I do clear vichar into it, when I inquire into it and understand its truth, its reality, right? So for that, what do we have to do? We have to do this kind of churning, in this kind of a dwelling on the verses that Bhagavan is telling over here, right? So next part of it we'll take in the next session. So next session, the thing is, I wanted to tell all of you all, so we are having this grand celebration of the 108th Jayanti of Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananji, that begins on 8th of May. So probably, we will have the Monday class, right? The Monday session we will have. And thereafter that week, then Wednesday and Friday, it won't be possible. Our home study course team will drop in a message for you. Okay, we'll stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Hari Om.